Welcome back, our Slum Doggies. Today we have a very special guest. This is Randy. He is the president of InvestArk. Please, Randy, tell us all about the things you do. I know you came from a corporate background and then you got into real estate investments, which is really cool because I know a lot of our listeners have done the same or they're looking to do the same. They're in the corporate world and they're just like, so please, I'm so excited to hear about you.
So thanks, Randy Langenderfer, Houston, Texas, as you said, InvestArk Properties. My wife always tells me when I do these that I never talk about my family and just talk about business. So I'm a father. I'm a father of four. I was working for a private equity company in Cleveland, Ohio, and I made the realization that that wasn't going to last very long. And I was doing pretty well and making a good income, but realized that wasn't going to last too long. And so I took it upon myself to find another income stream. And upon that desire, I found real estate and I started doing single family fix and flips with a brother-in-law of mine. And we did that for several years and I needed to find another job temporarily. So not temporarily, but I needed to find another job and came to Houston, Texas, working for a large academic medical center here. And I landed on multifamily after attending one of the local educational arms, Lifestyles Unlimited, if anybody's heard of it. And that really piqued my curiosity. And to make a long story short, I started then learning and investing in my own education. I started investing my own money as a limited partner because I realized that the single family was just difficult to scale. And multifamily did that instantly when you got a larger property. So starting in 2014, I started passively investing in other people's deals. 2018, I did my first general partnership or active investing. And fast forward to today, I'm a general partner in about 1,000 doors, and I still invest in other people's properties. And I don't know, I'll say $1,000 or $2,000 doors as other people's investments. So I'm pretty connected to the real estate space. And as you would say, from a diversification perspective, I'm over leveraged in real estate, but that's okay.
That's okay. So it's so funny that you said that you got into it first with fix and flips, because we've been hearing that a lot from our higher end investors like yourself. So I know you said you landed in multifamily. Who introduced you to the multifamily world? How did you kind of start investing in that?
Yeah, it was really, when I moved to Houston, my family was still in the Cleveland, Ohio market. And I was here for 6 months on my own with nothing to do in the evenings. And so I started attending every real estate group I could find. And much to my surprise, there were about one in Cleveland, Ohio. And in Houston, Texas, I could attend one every night of the week if I chose, because there are just so many different styles and groups. And so I was just really networking like a fiend and started asking people and trying to differentiate multifamily and single family. But what really drew me to multifamily was the fact that I had looked at purchasing small businesses and franchises and other things along the way, but all of them required you to have a personal guarantee on a loan. And that's what really intrigued me about multifamily, is I could buy a multi-million-dollar asset and didn't have to sign personally on the loan. So if the asset were to fall, the worst case is the bank would take it back and I would lose my investment, but they couldn't come after me for my house, my cars, my 401ks, et cetera. And so that's the real beautiful part about multifamily, is the non-recourse action.
I said, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I think a lot of people don't know that. And that's really the main attraction point for a lot of our big investors in going into multifamily. So multifamily is kind of my bread and butter. That's what I manage the most, and that's what I purchase the most with my clients. So yeah, mentioning that, and that's definitely a big selling point for them.
Well, just to make sure we're all on the same page, obviously recourse is they can't take it back, versus if you buy single family homes, you have to sign personally. And if you were to default, the bank could come after you personally and make you liable. And so if to the person that has maybe some money, that's very important. It's a risk mitigation factor. So.
Absolutely. Less scary.
Right.
That's fantastic. So since you had to deal with multifamily, and since I deal with multifamily all the time, I would love to hear some pain points and pressure points as you got into the multifamily. because we all know, I like to call it glorified adult babysitting, because you have to deal with a lot of the issues between the tenants and things like that. And people love our stories about these kind of things. So if you have anything in mind, we would love to hear about those.
Oh yeah, just like a certain story that you're like, what is going on?
How long do you have?
Exactly.
We get it. We told
You can tell your top 3 favorites. You're more than welcome.
Well, I think the best for your listening audience, the fact is that, it's a business, right? And businesses never go as they're designed to start with. That doesn't mean, but my point of it is there's always obstacles, just as there are in our personal lives. I don't know if you have husbands or children, spouses and children never behave the way we want them to either.
Happening today.
Literally, my husband is at my triplex right now, and he's like, everything is going to shit. Like, it's okay.
And so you have to plan on that. There's nothing get rich quick schemes about real estate, either single family or multifamily. So my favorite story, though, was 2018. We purchased a 139 unit with a couple other partners in Beaumont, Texas. For those of you that don't know, Beaumont, Texas is about 100 miles due east of Houston on Route 10. It's a biochemicals city. It's about 150,000 blue collar, a lot of blue collar jobs. But we were all excited. I found this property in 139 units, I said, a 1969 build with flat roofs and chillers and boilers. So for your listening audience, if someone offers you an opportunity to buy a chiller boiler property, run.
Get out of here.
Get those shoes on. Tie them tight.
I was very anxious to get my first property. So we went in and bought this property. And literally the second month we owned it, I get a call from the property manager. I'm sitting in my office and they say, Randy, I just want to call and let you know the building's on fire. What? So we lost 28 out of 139 units. Thank goodness nobody was injured. Nobody was injured. Yeah. So 2 months into this, we're not even halfway into our plan. So the good news is nobody was injured. We were able to file an insurance claim, but just the headaches, as you ladies know, of getting that insurance claim, doing the rebuild, cash flow becomes very tight on the property. And had somebody tell me that if you did this long enough, you're going to have a fire or a crime, a shooting or something on your properties. I didn't think it happened the second month of ownership. So that was, again, my first property. And then probably a couple months later, we had decided to retain the property manager that was there before us. She had literally been there 25 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we had bought this property from a group that had owned it for probably 25, 30 years. And she just ran it. She knew all the tenants. They were her friends. She raised her family there. They were now grown. Oh. But we quickly learned that she was not willing to implement our business plan in terms of raising rents on her friends and neighbors. So,
no kidding.
Yeah. So,
what's the number one? Tenants are not your friends.
Yep.
So that was a challenge. So we had to make a property management change. And I really realized the company we had retained was pretty shallow. So I became the de facto regional manager and was on calls several times a week talking about leasing rates and maintenance and everything else. It has a happy ending, though. I'm giving you the Reader's Digest version. We actually ended up turning the property around, rebuilt, ended up selling the property 21 months of ownership and doubling investors' money.
Wow. Well, I really, really have to commend you for doing that, because dealing with both of those issues simultaneously is really can make or break you, and it didn't break you. And that is just such a testament to who you are and your investment strategy and your skills, because we've seen a lot of people falter and go under or have really bad issues. And these are the kind of properties that most of our investor groups are picking up, are people that had to go through this, didn't make it through, and they're like, I'm done.
No, I'm done. Yeah.
So
they want to pull out early, sell super cheap, you know. I know. I think that's the thing about real estate. And that's something that I explain to a lot of people, where My friend just the other day is buying a house and there's something with an easement going on. And he's like, I don't ever want to do this again. And I'm like, no, because in 5 years, you're not even going to remember this. You're going to have the equity in your home. You're like, I'm like, stick with it, get through it. And then next year, you'll want to do it again. It's just all about sticking through those hard parts. I mean, anything that's worth it is hard, right? I really believe in that, that saying. So
Yeah.
I think that's real estate. There are hard parts, but it is always rewarding in the end.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
And it's back to that family and spouse example too. I mean, it's the same illustration, right? You got to put in and you get stuff back. So it is with your real estate stuff. It'll pay off if you're persistent, patient,
right?
And perhaps in my case, and that's the thing about multifamily too for me is I just had other people's money in the deal, and I was not willing to let them lose money. So that was the other big factor.
Yeah, that almost makes it even harder because you're working for someone else and it's not your own money, and you're like, okay, I definitely don't want to let them down. Which is so funny because we work harder for other people than we do ourselves. But I mean, that's just the way it is. And I want to bring up a aspect on your story. So when you lost those 28 other units in that building, you were able to still rent out the units that did not get affected by the fire. So you were still able to collect rents on part of the building, which is another part of multifamily that is.
It's a cushion.
It's a cushion. Yeah. So, yes, we had a fire and yes, it was devastating. Luckily, no one got hurt, but it was devastating because those 28 units are now out of commission. But you're not just completely dead on that property. You were able to keep it going. You were able to rent out the other, however many units there were in there and still make that revenue. So, I mean, people who are thinking of investing, I do think that that's the reason that multifamily is
also very attractive.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I totally agree.
And the way the property was designed, there were multiple buildings. It wasn't just one building of 139 units. There were multiple buildings. So we lost one building out of probably 6 or so, 7 on the property, to your point. So, and that also helps.
There's so many points. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's what we talk about a lot on the podcast too. There's a lot of ways to build your portfolio. There's a lot of strategies and, there's 9 ways to skin a cat or whatever. So that is really important to feature in our.
I was just going to say that the other aspect of that for some of the obviously more sophisticated listeners is that's advantage from an insurance perspective too, to have multiple buildings because you're insuring per building versus the entire property. And that's can be a discount too. So
definitely. For sure. And we're seeing more and more here where people have started with the one building or like the one triplex or single family home, and they're building on that plot. Like, the ones that have, they're not in those cookie cutter where your lot is, you're like this close to your neighbor, but now they're building multifamily homes behind it. We're seeing like the shipping containers coming in and they're building these apartment complexes on their single family lot. And it's cool to see. I mean, the neighbors usually don't like it.
Whatever's allowed, but no.
Yeah, whatever's allowed by zoning. But it's crazy to watch, like, people are really getting
creative.
Imagine though, you have zoning laws. In Houston, we have no zoning laws.
Oh, God.
Wow.
So you can have, for intensive purposes, you can have a strip joint next to a church. It doesn't happen too often because they get around things, but those kind of things really do happen in Houston, and you have to be careful. And so a lot of the other places are planned communities where they have deed restrictions that accomplish the same things as zoning laws. But so to your investors, those are things that you don't know if you live in Sarasota about Houston or potentially other investors. So do your due diligence well on your potential investor and investment.
Correct. Yeah, you're operating in the wild, wild west. So that's a different ballpark.
Buyer beware, and get to know the general partner very well. The old, I'm sure you've all heard of the horse and the jockey. What's the most important thing in a multifamily? The jockey, which is the general partnership team, or the horse, which is the property, and we know it is the jockey. It's the team that's leading the effort because, like you said, there are those who see a fire and run and give it back to the bank, or there are those who say we can get through this.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Such a good lesson.
Yeah, it's so important to work with the professionals, definitely in the area that you're wanting to invest in. We talk about that all the time on this podcast, and it's so important.
Mm-hmm. Well, that brings us to our next big topic that we always talk about on our podcast, our tagline is basically survive, thrive, which you've obviously done, and then retire by 45, which, we say nobody, we're not going to talk
We're
about
never
ages.
going to retire.
We're probably never going to retire just because you're so addicted to the game. But if we did see you in retirement, what would that look like for you, and what kind of things would you be looking forward to?
I'm smiling as you say that because I am retired. I am of the age to be retired. So I'm the guy that worked a long time in corporate America. And I would agree with you, ladies. I do this because I enjoy it today. I don't have to do it. I have worked in all that good stuff, but you want to stay active in retirement. Even if you have the money, to live. I had just met you ladies, but you're type A personalities. You're not going to be happy sitting by the pool, sipping margaritas. Maybe for a weekend.
I mean, maybe for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, maybe like one day out of the month, we wouldn't mind it. But no, you're definitely right. We probably similar to you. It's so addictive. We're workers. I mean, that's what we do. We love the game. We love the numbers. We love the work.
The people.
We complain about it all the time, but
we have each other.
It's who we are. Yeah. Yeah. And it is, it's helping people. It's watching people be able to grow and gain that wealth that they, they didn't think was possible, but we knew it was. And it's fun to watch.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. And learning. I mean, we learn so much just by doing this podcast and like talking to people like you. We're learning something new every day, and it's fascinating. We love it.
Well, as you know, there's so many facets of real estate that anybody can get into. So somebody says, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of time. So I don't have a lot of time. Be a passive investor. If you don't know, have a lot of money, you could flip a house. So there's single family, there's multifamily, there's wholesaling, there's
so many.
There's so many avenues. So true.
Which leads you to the question for your audience is, when I coach people, it's to avoid what I call the shiny object syndrome, right? So develop as a passive investor for your audience. I encourage people to develop their investment thesis. So what is it you're going to invest for? So if I'm investing, I'm going to look for something in the Sun Belt, greater than 100 doors, C+ to B+ class of asset. So if somebody sends me an opportunity in Toledo, Ohio, I'm from Ohio, but I'm not going to invest there because it's not where I focus. And if you're just getting started, or you're looking at this and you're attracted to the 22% that somebody's offering, it may or may not be right for you, but get to know it and develop your thesis of what you're going to invest in.
I agree. Yeah. And then stick to it.
Yeah. And stick to it. Exactly.
I mean, the example I always give is somebody said, I can double your money in 2 days if you give me $100,000 and I'll buy drugs. Why aren't you going to do that? Because it's illegal and it's immoral. So there's part of your investment thesis that you take for granted.
Can't put that money in the bank. No.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. And then our final closing tradition on our podcast is to have you go ahead and share any kind of charity that is near and dear to your heart. And you can give us an ask, which we will fulfill over the next several months.
And it can be any
or year, depending on what it is.
Yeah, we've had some crazy ones, money related, time related. We're doing
therapy
cards, donation. Yeah. We're having our kids make birthday cards for kids in the hospital. We have so many things.
Yeah.
Going on. So, I mean, it's a thing
that's cool.
And it's great. We're including our family. It's really, that's our favorite part of the podcast.
It's been really cool. And we're learning about so many different charities, even in our area, that we just had no idea about. So that's really cool to be able to shed light on charities that aren't really known and right next door to us. So.
That question could go a lot of different ways. But obviously, I would say my favorite charity is my local church, but I won't ask to give that from somebody nationally. But I would encourage Samaritan's Purse, which is a national organization that is very good, and they take money and give it to third world countries for disaster relief. And
fantastic.
It's headed by Billy Graham's son, so it's a great organization. And
well, fantastic. We will definitely get involved with them and see what we can do to help.
Yeah,
great,
awesome.
That's fantastic.
Well, you are a fantastic guest.
Yeah, Randy, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today. You're definitely an awesome, amazing person. I was reading your bio and I was like, oh my gosh, everything you've done. And I love that you continue with the learning. And you said like self-educate. I think that's so important, which is something that we focus on this podcast. That's a big reason that we do it, is for us to learn, but also our viewers to learn just new different things that are in the area that they can invest in and make money at.
And we love sharing success stories because it encourages our listeners and ourselves to see, there are so many different ways to make it, and so many, different strategies, different techniques, different tools. So we love sharing that with our community. So we really appreciate your take on everything.
I am the living proof that if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yep. American success stories. We love it.
All the time. Yeah. We're like, listen, if we can do it, we can't for nothing. So if we can do it, you guys can do it. Don't be scared and ask those questions. That's another thing. I feel like people are scared to ask they're afraid it's a stupid question. It's never a stupid question.
Yep.
And if it is, we'll tell you and we'll answer it anyway.
Thank you so much for your time, Randy. And thank you to our listeners for listening again. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
That's a wrap on another episode of SlumDogg Millionaires. If you're ready to turn dreams into dollars, smash that follow button and join us every week for more money moves and mindset magic. Don't forget to get back to your local community. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and remember, your empire starts with one smart decision. Huge gratitude shout out to our production team at Icons of Real Estate.